Welcome to the next podcast, Getting Your Seat on the Vision 2030 Train, Insights-Driven Success with Ahmed ElSharawy. Hello, Ahmed. How are you doing?
Hello, Tim. I'm doing great. Thank you very much for having me. It's a pleasure.
Fantastic. How did your career journey lead you from being a buyer agent at Coldwell Banker to a managing partner at Insights at the consultant? What were the key decisions and experiences that influenced your path?
Okay, let me start by one very important turning point here. It's failure. I failed at being a buyer agent at Coldwell Bank. I failed at being a real estate agent, and it was not by any means what I should have been doing. So I worked there for less than a year, and it wasn't really a good job. So I left after a while, not making enough sales, and then I started looking around for a new job. I was pretty fresh out of the college, and I was not sure what to do. And then I stumbled upon research by mere coincidence through a friend of mine who told me that they had some kind of freelance vacancy at Nielsen and AC Nielsen at the time. I went there just to check it out. Then I fell in love. This was the thing I wanted to do for the rest of my life.
Thank you so much. So, with 19 years of experience in insights, what do you believe is the most critical aspect of translating data into actionable strategies for businesses?
Basically, you just need to understand the business you're working on. Even if it's a new category, new client, or a new market, you always go into their business, wear their hats, understand what they need and how they think internally. All you need to do is be in their shoes, and then everything will work from there. So we know insights. Any researcher knows insights. But the key thing to understand the client is know your client, know your category very well. And not just knowing it by reading numbers and literature. No, just live it. Go buy whatever they're selling. Talk to the salespeople. Talk to the trade. Talk to whoever is involved, all the stakeholders. So basically, just live what they're doing. And then from there, you would easily get the right insight to help your client grow.
How has your understanding of cross culture played a role in your success in diverse markets such as the Middle East, North Africa, and Turkey?
Basically, this was my last post covering this region. Across my life, I've worked on multi-country studies a lot. Like I had the same client sitting in Egypt wanting to know about their product in Algeria, Morocco, Saudi Arabia, UAE, Levant, like Jordan, Lebanon, anywhere, and Egypt, of course. Every single output of this study, every country will give you a totally different insight. What you can do only to be able to translate it properly is basically understand where these people are coming from. If you do not understand their culture, their background, and I'll tell you one very important thing, their food. You can know a lot of things about people from their food. How do they cook and how do they match things together? So everything about their culture, about their habits, about their how the family is interacts together, how education is the level of education, importance of that, everything in their life. Once you go into their lives, you can basically get the same data from every country and then give it a different translation for each of these regions you're covering. So basically the culture starts and then the insights comes from that.
How does the business environment in Saudi Arabia differ from that in Egypt? And how did you adapt your strategies to succeed there during your visits?
The thing is, the business is different because again of the cultural differences. There are a few cultural differences between Egypt and Saudi Arabia. There is a lot of social norms that is not available, that is not the same across both countries. And in the business itself, like in the data collection part and some of the habits that we are used to in Egypt, it's not there in Saudi Arabia. All you need to know to do is know it, work with the people from Saudi Arabia or expats living in Saudi Arabia. And then from there, you can build the right way to do it. The most common thing lately that I found difference between doing business in Egypt and Saudi Arabia was Saudi Arabia loved the face-to-face meetings. I really found this very intriguing. People like people. They want to meet and they want to know you and they want to know the person they're going to do business with. As opposed to Egypt, in the past 5 years, I believe, most people would skip meetings and make it a quick Zoom call or an email, or like people do not want to spend a lot of time in this part. So you can basically see what people want and just adapt to it. Like Saudi clients want to meet you, go meet them. People in Egypt wants a Zoom call, make a Zoom subscription, and that's how basically you can succeed in every different region.
What are the unique characteristics of Saudi consumer behavior that businesses should be aware of when entering the market?
Saudi consumers are not easily convinced to try out your product, and they cannot be wowed easily. You cannot give them something and expect them to fall in love right away with it. You need to take them slowly while you're creating your brand positioning inside Saudi Arabia. You should be able to take it bit by bit and create a natural referral scheme. Like if you're a B2B, you need to work with one person. Then this one person would tell another one person until you grow inside Saudi Arabia. If you're a consumer product company, you need to understand that you can take a lot of time convincing and tasting and sampling and being there for the customer, so they can start trusting you and then actually recommending you to their friends and family, and then you can grow from there. So it's a slow market for new entrants. You cannot go and just launch and expect to succeed. It takes a lot of effort and a lot of trial and error. Even if what you're doing has been tried before inside Saudi Arabia with competition, it's not guaranteed to win. And you have to put the plan A, B, C, and D while entering this market.
How important is networking in Saudi Arabia? And what strategies did you find most effective in building professional relationships during your visits?
Again, as I was saying about how Saudis like to do business by meeting face to face and knowing the person, networking is the best and probably the only way for anyone who wants to start business with Saudi Arabia or inside Saudi Arabia to use. So basically, networking events, snowballing, like you meet someone you know, and then this person meets someone they know, and then you become friends, and then you take it to the next level and the next level. So basically, you can just create a lot of acquaintances and maybe some friends in between, and you will stumble upon your business this way. Relationships, recommendations is the key to creating a footprint in the Saudi market. The challenge is you need to be there most of the time. You need to visit Saudi Arabia a lot if you're not living there, or move there. And for some people, this would be a little bit costly to live there without having the business up and running in there. So you need to understand the pros and cons of going and coming back, and when is the right point for you to be in the Saudi market physically and be able to live there, so you can exponentially grow your network and by extension the business.
What advice would you give to professionals looking to engage with the Saudi market for work, especially in the field of market research and insights?
If you're a professional looking for a job in marketing research in the Saudi market, I would really advise you to work with a company that is already working there, even if they're not based in the Saudi market. to gain what they call the GCC experience or the Saudi experience. So if you have a few studies that you have worked before and in the Saudi market, and you understand how things work there, this is the right time for you to move there. If you still don't have that, either join a company from wherever you're based. So if you're based in Egypt, Europe, Far East, anywhere, you can join a company that actually works with GCC or Saudi markets, and then gain some experience from them there and move to the market you want. If you still don't have all this and you're starting your professional career, or you're in the early stages of your career, I would really advise you move to UAE first, and then you can enter the Saudi market after gaining the experience from there.
What has been the most challenging project you've undertaken in your career, and how did you navigate it?
For me, the most challenging project was a concept product test that I did a few years back across 7 markets at the same time. And timelines were very tight, lots of coordination, and again, getting an insight for each market separately from the same tool that we created from the beginning. So this was one of the toughest 2 weeks that I went through, because this was the timeline. I had to start, finish the data collection, do the presentations, get the insights, and send to client in 2 weeks. So these were the most challenging 2 weeks of my life, of my professional life. And we successfully did it. And this product at the end was, this concept, that was very specific and successful in the GCC markets, the 5 countries that we worked in. And it was super rejected by Egyptians, Moroccans, Algerians, and Tunisians. So basically, everyone on the African continent was not happy with it. And then GCC were very accepting, and they loved this concept. Client launched, and I believe it was a successful story.
How do you stay ahead of the curve in the fast evolving field of market research and insights?
Basically, on a personal level, I try to read a lot. I try to attend as many webinars and seminars, and check out all the new announcements and products in the field. However, this is not really the main thing, or the most feasible thing, because of the time constraints. I make partnerships. Whenever I have something that needs something that I do not know about, or needs some technology in there, I have a lot of people that we have agreements, partnerships, and we're ready to go into the newest of technologies, the newest of methodologies, or any kind of analysis that is required. So I have these partners who work with me, and I always put the expertise first. So I know where I am, I know where I want to go, and then the tool is something that I'm not personally strong at. So I get someone on board to lead that, and I learn from them again.
Based on your extensive experience, what future trends do you foresee in the field of consumer insights and market research?
In the short term, we have a lot of consumer data into big data, cross insights, cross analysis, to get one key insight for everything. In the medium and long term, I believe consumer insights would be a little bit null unless it's in the creative part. If we need to really go into the lives and the psychology of the people. However, some AI tools now are doing that, but the human factor would still be needed. But we'll go into more big data analytics rather than the traditional ways of doing research. Going across from this to that would take a lot of time and a lot of repetitive insights between both. So you can go do some focus groups, some face-to-face interviews, and then get your big data and analyze it and reach the same conclusion. So a few projects down the line, you will find the faster, the easier, the cheaper way to do it, and this would be the big data part. So I believe this would be the transition, but I think it will not be happening overnight. This is something that will take some time to educate the AIs, some time to get more data on board to be able to reach this key insight that you would really need to grow your company, brand, or product across market.
How is the adoption of new technologies, especially in Saudi Arabia, shaping the future of market research and insights within the region?
Okay, specifically in Saudi Arabia, they are currently investing and funding a lot in AI, and the AI applications are across all the spectrums. Everything can be run by AI or utilizing AI for the final end product. So as I was saying about the new technologies, basically this is really happening in Saudi Arabia. So they're funding a lot of tech and AI driven products, and by time there will be enough data for the AI to make the analysis and get the insights out for the key decisions that you need to take within your company. So I believe it's again going to the big data analytics side.
How do you see Saudi Arabia's Vision 2030 impacting the market research and consumer insights industry in the country?
They're going very fast. Saudi Arabia is going very fast. Fast decisions needs some slow thinking before you do it. So whatever you're going into, be it the government, the semi-governmental organizations, the private sector even, whatever you're doing, you need to do fast. So you need to make sure that what you're doing is the right thing to do, and this is the right path to go. So a lot of studying and insights, maybe fast insights also, would help you to take the decision, because you're pouring in a lot of money. You're doing a lot of effort in some projects. So you need to make sure before you start and put all this that you are going into the right direction. So I believe the impact is the Saudi market is growing, marketing research is growing as much.
How important has mentorship been in your career, and how do you approach mentoring others in your field?
I've learned research at Nielsen. I had a lot of great teachers and a couple of great mentors. I believe that no one grows into an industry without a mentor. Actually, no one grows into anything without a mentor. So someone who tried, failed, succeeded, and then knows how to navigate this industry or this topic. I do that with employees. I do that with colleagues in different departments. If I'm working somewhere, I believe it's something that that's 360. I don't just mentor you. No, you mentor me back. I know some things that I actually know, and then I get some information and some mentoring from you. As long as we interact, it's happening. Approaching mentorship now with a young team, it's tough, but I believe it only needs some patience. It needs you to understand or remember where you were coming from the day you had no input in whatever you were doing, zero information, you don't know anything. So basically, I approach mentorship with a lot of patience and a lot of room for trial and error. So yeah, this is basically it.
You've been described as someone who combines hands-on involvement with a strategic mindset. Practically speaking, how can these two merge without reaching micromanagement or hands-on management?
There is a balance that you need to reach, because if you're working with a team who are relatively young, again, they would know one or two things. but they would not have your experience. So you need to be there for them. Creating I cannot call it an open door policy, like creating an open communication channel with your team. Basically let them come to you when they think they cannot do what they're supposed to. So if you're doing something, working on a project, and you don't know how to go, they can easily come to you. You have to embed this culture in them, and on the other side, you have to be involved in things that they are doing on a daily or a weekly basis. Especially if you're working remotely, you have to discuss with them what they're doing. Like, okay, tell me about this project, what's happening there, what's going on. And they're like telling you, not reporting, but more of a storytelling style. So they don't feel you're all over them, just want to know how things are going. When they go into too much details, you can ask them to skip it and just tell me what's going on with the project in general, any problems, any successes they actually accomplished. From the other side, the open communication policy that you can come to me with any kind of question. There is no stupid questions, and it's better to ask than do something that is totally wrong and you're not sure about.
Okay, so what advice would you give to someone looking to pursue a career in market research and insights?
Start in an agency. Don't work on the client side. Do something that is tiring, boring, and maybe repetitive for your first 2-3 years in the career. Whatever they give you, do it. Try to work across functions on the agency side, and if there are several departments also, you can move around. This will teach you the business very well. And then you can decide how you want to take your career further into marketing research. I will not, I cannot tell you do this or that, or based on your personality, or based on what. No, you can just try everything in the first 2-3 years, and then you will have a very clear vision on how the next 15-20 years would look like.
Okay. You've mentioned that watching the journeys of others reminds you to embrace your unique path. Can you share an experience or a moment that you've gone through with this?
I go through this every day, especially recently with my new venture with the consultants. I watch the local companies who grew into regional and global players over the past 10-15 years. I see the progress very clear, and I see myself where I can be and what are the similarities between us. The most important thing is what are the differences, and I avoid comparing myself now with where they are now, because this is extremely frustrating to do that with companies who are like 10 or 15 years old, and we've been in the market for 1 year. So basically, understand the difference in time and the difference in experience of the company, and see how they manage their early stages, and try to learn from that. This I do every single day whenever I face any kind of growth decision or maybe hiring decisions and such.
Okay, thanks so much. And finally, where do you see your industry going in the next 4 or 5 years?
More big data, less consumer research, without failing to understand the people by people on a personal, from a personal perspective and a human perspective, but a lot more of big data analytics and a lot more of AI analysis to social media, basically usage habits and anything that is digitized. And I see more support to the customer experience rather than merely the simple marketing activities, putting in more to customer experience by analyzing this data.
Thank you so much for a very insightful podcast, and definitely looking forward to doing with you more in the future.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ahmed.